Hey guys, it's Kelsey. I'm back with another scrapbooking process video, and today is Stretch the Sketch. So this is a sketch that we are using from Rebecca Lockhart, and I am stretching it into a double. I love the wreath look. I thought that was very wedding appropriate with the florals, and with there being 3 pictures, I have so many pictures from our wedding of me and Marcus kissing in front of this really cool distressed black wood door in downtown Ackworth, and I could not narrow down these photos for the ones that I wanted to scrapbook. So I figured if I use this sketch and I stretched it into a double, I could just use all of them. So we're getting 6 4x6 photos done today. I did pull in some wood grain from my Craft Consortium wood grain paper pad for this, just because I am being frugal, very frugal with the collection I'm using this month. And I think this wood grain is so pretty. And I wanted something neutral so that I could create this wreath on it. And I go through a couple methods of doing this. It didn't quite turn out how I wished it would have, but I think you get the point. There's some mixed media on that sketch, so I really wanted to kind of create that mixed media look with this wreath. I was determined to use this Nouveau texture paste. I love this texture paste. It's a couple years old at this point though, and I don't think I had it sealed properly because it's all dried up. So I had to add some water to it to kind of get it back to where it was usable again. So I'm doing the packaging technique with this texture paste, and I don't think I let it have enough time to really mix back up before I tried this, because this just does not work. I'm really not too worried about it because I know most of my photos are going to cover this anyways, but I really wanted to do the sketch justice and create that diagonal mixed media technique look. So you see a little bit of the soft gold peeking around the photos. I'm going in and just doing a ton of splatter, so hopefully you could at least see the splatter. But after I get all the photos down, it really does end up covering up a lot of it. So I tried a couple times to make it look how I wanted in my head. And then this is where I'm going in and just roughly sketching the wreath. I wanted this wreath to still look circular even though it's on a double page. So I'm just trying to create this wreath in the middle portion, and I'm going to follow the same kind of look as the sketch, but I'm trying to create that circular look. I set them to dry and now I'm back again with my photos, and I decided I would kind of do the same thing as the sketch here too, where the sketch had 3 photos on the diagonal. Since I'm stretching this into a double, I'm just pairing each photos together in groups of 2. That way they ascend in that diagonal pattern, the same as the sketch. So this is kind of what I'm working with for my layout, and then I know I want to have a floral cluster on each page following the wreath. So I'm really just trying to follow the sketch. It takes a minute for me to figure out how I want to get this look and this wreathy look. So I'm starting out by dividing up all of my ephemera into their different, icons. I know I want to use some florals, but I only have 2 floral bundles left in my ephemera. So I'm going through this cut apart sheet that has the frames on it. I know I want to pull in one of these frames. But a couple of these have some decorative kind of cut apart pieces on the back, and I'll end up fussy cutting some of those too to create the florally clusters, because I really didn't want to use the big floral clusters that I had ready. So it just takes me a minute to do that too. But I'm really happy I'm getting to use these frames on almost every layout this month. I think they're so cool. But I wanted something kind of longer to fill out some areas on this page. And I remembered I had these like film strip die cuts from Ronnie. I love these so much. I'm always so excited when I get to use them. And I had a white one left. So I thought, since this is a photo strip essentially of all of these photos, it would be nice to incorporate that into my clusters. So I'm going to go ahead and glue down all the pictures. I know they're going to be stuck like this. So I'm going to get my photos down and then I'll start working on my clusters. But I thought this film strip, because it was longer, would help fill in some more space than I originally would have based off of the sketch, just because I have more real estate I need to fill in. So I end up taking this film strip and cutting it in half, and then it will just branch out from those middle photos across the outer photos. You'll see what I mean in a minute. I'm just getting some double-sided tape on there, but I thought that would be a kind of a sweet detail. I feel like whenever I get these film strips on pages, they're always like one of my favorite elements to use. So I have that one down at the top, and this other one's going to go down here on the bottom. And then I really need to figure out ephemera-wise what I'm doing with these floral clusters, because I know I want that part of the sketch to be literal, but I'm also trying to use my supplies wisely. So I think I took another break here, and this is where I think maybe I'll add a glassine bag behind this top cluster. I really like that idea, so I'm going to tuck that up there to be another base of my floral. I definitely want to use a frame, but that ends up coming a little bit later. I kind of get sidetracked once I start having to fussy cut more of the cut aparts. This is that piece I saved from the first layout. I thought maybe I could use that florally piece, but it just wasn't working because the way I had to gut it, it kind of cuts the floral off in a really awkward spot. So now I decide, okay, well, let me just put the two floral clusters I do have down just so I can see how they look. And I do love it. I think those look beautiful. But I'm being frugal, and I just don't want to use those just yet this month because it's still early. So this is where you'll see me go in and fussy cut a couple things from the cut aparts. I really like this top one because it incorporates that little heart lock. It looks, I don't know, I think that looks really sweet. And then I really like this other one. It has florals in it, but it kind of is more than just a flower. I think it looks more layery, having the invitation there too. And I like the added pink that adds. And I think that's just a little bit more interesting than if it would be just florals. So I'm trying to figure out how I could get those layered up. And just with wanting more layers and it being wedding, of course, I'm adding a doily to both of these sections too. And I also think that helps replicate the circular idea of this wreath. You'll see me go in and accentuate that wreath a little bit more, but right now I'm just working off of that kind of base sketch that I did with that gold mixed media. So I'm going to get this stuff glued down. I definitely want to layer a couple things up around these, but that's kind of my focal point of both of these clusters, is these cut apart pieces I think are really sweet. So I'm going to get those glued down, and then I have these wooden numbers. These are actually extras from my mom's wedding. I made the table numbers for her wedding, and I had duplicates. So hers, I painted this nice dark hunter green that kind of matched our bridesmaids' dresses, but these were still raw wood, and I thought I might use them as raw wood, but since I am using this gold mixed media, I decided to paint them because it's still a neutral color. You can see the color isn't too much different from the natural wood grain, but using that mixed media, it helps tie in the background that I've already did, and it just makes it shimmerier and more wedding, I think. So I'm just going in with my finger and spreading that embellishment mousse around, and then I'll set that aside and do a second coat later before I glue them down. But I'm actually just going to use these numbers as my title. The date of our wedding, I feel like, is one of the important things throughout the wedding pages. So you'll see the date a lot throughout the wedding pages, but I thought it would be nice for it to just be a title in itself. I think these giant wood veneer pieces, I got them from Hobby Lobby actually. They're just so cute. I thought it was such a cool kind of thing to use as I was going to say alphabet, but for my title, using these big numbers. So those are set aside to dry for the first coat. And then I just want to add a couple more layers to each of my clusters. So I have these scraps here that I'm cutting into fishtail banners. I have some blue ones and some pink ones. So I'm just going to cut a couple fishtail banners to have coming out of each of these clusters just for some more interest. There's really not a whole lot more going on this page. Like, it's a double, there's some mixed media, there's lots of photos, but other than that, it's really just these two embellishment clusters that I'm decorating with. So I'm just trying to make sure those two areas are fun because the rest of the page I really want to keep pretty simple, just because it's wedding, and I'm trying to keep all of them very light and airy, and I want you to be able to see that rustic wood grain that kind of is a theme throughout all of these pages that I'm doing. So I did add the frame you saw there. I'm adding a piece of that frame to both clusters. I added the fishtail banners, and I don't know if I go in with the numbers again or if I go with some other stuff first. I'm trying to remember. I'm going through the cut aparts one more time to see if there's anything else I want to fussy cut, but I really like the two things that I chose. I don't want anything to compete with what I've already fussy cut, so I decide not to do any more. But this is where I decide to go in with some white acrylic paint just to accentuate the gold part of the wreath that I already have. I just thought it was wedding. I feel like the more gold I add, it's going to start looking more messy, but I still wanted more of that painted wreath look. So I decided just to go in and messily add some white around the gold part of the wreath, just so it stands out more. You get the wreath look, but it's in a different kind of color and different texture. So I kind of just did that. I'm trying not to let it bother me if it's messy. I'm trying to lean into the messiness for this page just because if I tried to make it neat, I knew I would fail. So I'm embracing the mixed media of the page. And I let that dry for a little bit. And now you can see I'm coming back in again with the numbers. I decided to use a paintbrush this time just to really try to get that color on there. The first coat was really thin with me using my finger, and although this color is very similar to the wood grain, I really do want you to get that shimmer. So I'm just doing a second coat with a paintbrush to get this on. And this sat over day. This is the next day where I'm doing this, and adding that water back into this embellishment mousse like really revived it. I'm really pleased that I'm not having to throw that away. That's my only Nouveau embellishment mousse I have, and I really like it. I don't use it enough, so I was happy that mixing water back in with it kind of helped to bring it back because I didn't want to waste that product. So just doing that second coat, and then I'll set that stuff. I think you'll see another break where it's drying, and this will be the following day again. And I got my nails done in between this because Marcus and I are going on vacation to St. Augustine the week that you guys are seeing this video. So that's why the videos so far this month have kind of been a little bit more spaced out because I knew we were going to be gone for a week and a half. And I wanted to make sure you guys still had some consistent content. So that's why they're a little bit more spread out. I hope I can get through all of the pages I want to get done this month. But I don't know if it'll happen since I am losing a week and a half for St. Augustine. But you will have another St. Augustine trip for me to scrapbook here probably next year by the time I get around to it. But I had a lot of fun last time we went to St. Augustine. We got evacuated from a hurricane, so we didn't get to do a lot of the things that we wanted to do. So this is our second attempt, and it looks like we should be good. Hurricane Ian just came through, and St. Augustine came out of it unharmed, thankfully. So by the time we get down there, everything should be back to normal. But yeah, I got my nails done in this kind of pumpkin spice orange for the fall. And I usually don't do colors on my nails. I usually kind of keep it neutral. That way they grow out and they don't look, I don't know, it's more camouflaged when they grow out. But I figured this is vacation and it's my favorite time of year is the beginning of fall, and October especially is my favorite month of the year. So I'm just having fun and figured I'd go all out with the orange nails. I don't think I've ever had orange nails before. But here I'm going in with a couple stickers from the Fancy That sticker sheet. Now I'm adding some white Nouveau drops. Since I went in with the white acrylic paint, I wanted some other white finishing touches to kind of round it all out. So I did a couple clusters of the white Nuvo drops, and here are the close-ups. I had a lot of fun with this one. This is a really fun sketch to kind of try to stretch out into a double, and I'm glad I got all of these photos documented because I just could not narrow them down. I loved all of them so much. So here are all the close-ups. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you check out everyone else who's playing along with Stretch the Sketch, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.